name's Rich Harrington, and welcome to this edition of Understanding Adobe Photoshop. Today, we're going to take a look at advanced selection controls inside of Photoshop CS5. Now, we have the Refine Edges command, and it was first introduced back in CS4, but it's now significantly improved with all sorts of options that make it easier to get accurate selections. Here we go. I've opened up an image that's pretty tough. I want to go ahead and actually extract this from the background. Now, there's lots of methods to do this, but let's start with the quick selection tool. I'll grab that up here in the toolbox, shortcut is W, and just start to drag through. And as I drag, it starts to detect edges and make a selection. You could release and click and drag again, and it just adds, and we're just trying to pick up our subject here without getting too much of the ground it's sitting on. There we go. If it gets something we don't want, we just hold down the Option key and drag, and it will remove it, as you see there. There we go. Drag through, and picking up more of the object. And let's add this little bit up here, and we've got it. Now, what I want to do is refine this selection so it looks significantly better. And there's several ways to invoke that command. You could choose Select, Refine Edge, or just click the Refine Edge button up here, and it actually invokes it, and it gives you the Refine Edge dialog box. Now, let's start from top to bottom. You have the ability to view this a couple of different ways. Marching Ants, which shows you the selection border, as an actual overlay, sort of like a quick mask mode, over black or over white, or as a black and white matte. Choose the one that makes the most sense for you so you can clearly see what's happening. So, for example here, I'm finding this on layer to be pretty useful, or on white in the case of this image, and I'm happy with that. We now have the ability to do Smart Radius and tell it to find the edges here as we sort of pull that up. And notice how the image is detecting where the transition points are, and we're getting a nice softer transition at the edges. If you want to, you could say show the radius, and that gives you those transition points. And you're seeing some gentle feathering here. Black equaling transparent and gray being partially transparent. If you want to manipulate that, you can actually paint with your paintbrush to add or hold down the Option key to subtract a little bit from that radius. And just be sure to uncheck Show Radius there. And you see how it's doing a really nice job of removing that fringe. You have the ability to smooth things out, and let's back off the radius there a little bit. Smoothing it will take rough edges and round out the corners, but you don't want to go too far or you lose all the little unique details. Look in particular down here at the teeth. A high smoothness is actually distorting them, as opposed to a low smoothness which has the jagged points. So just use that sparingly. Same with feather. A feathered line is a gradual selection as opposed to a hard edge. Sort of the difference between a felt tip pen and a ballpoint pen. So it gives you a little bit of a transition zone on the line. And then contrast will tighten things back up, and you have the ability to expand or contract your edges as needed to sort of erode them. If you're getting any color spill, you could choose to decontaminate, and that'll actually pull that in. And you see how these all sort of work together to give you nice transitions. That's looking good. I'm going to tell it to go ahead and actually just output that as a new layer and click OK. And you see that the object is moved to its own layer with the layer mask. So great control here. We can clearly see how it very intelligently found the edges of the subject. The advantage of this, of course, is that we can use this as a selection as well. Just command click on the thumbnail, we've got an active selection, and we could start to combine color corrections, such as vibrance, to really push the colors there in the bone and make them a little bit come through so it looks more rich with color, or bleach them by pulling the saturation out. You see there how we've kind of manipulated the underlying color in that bone, going for a very stark black and white, or really pushing that to sort of show the yellowing of age. That's the Refine Edge command. Very useful once you've got a good selection to make it a great selection. For Understanding Adobe Photoshop, my name's Rich Harrington.